How you doing, everybody? It's Jay Nanda, San Antonio Metal Music Examiner with Access.com, coming to you from downtown San Antonio, Alamo City Music Hall, with an incredible night just ahead in a couple of hours, the final night of the Winery Dogs Tour. If you don't recognize the gentleman next to me, brush up on your metal history or do something. One of the most awesome bass players on the planet, a machine on the instrument. I don't know how else to describe it. Mr. Billy Sheehan.
Thank you very much.
How are you, sir?
I'll try to live up to that.
Well, it's great to have you here. Like I
Thank
said,
you.
it's the final night of the tour. You guys have been swinging through Texas the last couple of nights. I know it's been a long grind. I think you were in, Brazil or South America a week or two ago?
We've been everywhere.
How's everything been going with the travels?
It's just great. Well, travel is the hard part. The shows, that's a piece of cake. We love that. But the traveling, especially South America, you have to fly into every city. So we get done with the show, get to the hotel by 2, we gotta leave the hotel at 4 a.m. because they'll only get in the hotel for 2 hours and have to take a shower and maybe close your eyes.
Wow.
And go right to the airport again and then repeat the next night.
Yeah.
So it's a little tough. A lot of guys get sick. We managed to get through it all without a problem. But I know a lot of bands, guys get sick easily. They just get no sleep, and it's traveling in airports like crazy. So fortunately in America and in Europe we can do tour buses, and they're always very nice, and it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, I know you have nothing to do with the booking, but now's your chance to take credit for leaving San Antonio for the best for last, right?
Yeah, well, we don't have anything to do with it. We're glad to be back here. I've done a lot of shows in San Antonio over the years, and I always got a lot of friends here at school. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, the Winery Dogs was here at this venue 2 years ago in support of the debut self-titled album. Of course, they got Hot Streak going on. Before we get into all that stuff, of course, I know you're a big proponent on social media, and in light of the recent events in Dallas with the police tragedy that happened just 3 days ago, if you're watching this on Thursday, it's just kind of weird timing for the band because you were in Houston the next night.
Yeah.
You were at the scene of the crime last night. I know you've made a couple of comments, such as, I think in Houston you said it was a good night but not a great night because everybody had things on their mind. Yeah. Last night you referred to it as a night you'll never forget. So just, what can you tell me about it?
Unfortunately, it's a night I'll never forget for some of the right reasons, but also some of the wrong reasons. When you're there in a tragedy, music and musicians, there's always been a place you can go to for some kind of sanctuary, emotionally, that's for sure. And I know, I'm sure people are. I got an email from someone that was related to one of the officers that was killed, and so we're all pretty interconnected all the time. So we did our best to do the best show we possibly could in Dallas, just to get people's minds off it. I know I've been in a situation before where I'm performing soon after a tragedy. We were the first. Mr. Big was the first band to go in after the Fukushima quake in Japan. Everyone else canceled. We went in, and it really helped. Similar to after 9/11, restaurants were going out of business. Broadway shows were empty. You got to get back to normal as quick as possible, because people are hurt. Life works because people live their lives. Right. When you hole up in the house and you're afraid to go out, it just hurts everything. So just to get things back to normal. I know myself from my own personal tragedy that I've had, best medicine is to really just try and get back, after a reasonable amount of time, of course, just get back to normal. So we were trying to do our best to give people a night to take their minds off it. And I think we did, so I'm pleased about that. And hopefully things will start to square around here with the situation we have nationally.
Yeah, well, the Winery Dogs are going to try to do that tonight. Back to what they do best with the music, in support of sophomore album Hot Streak here on vinyl.
Ooh.
Awesome look here, and fantastic album. Now what I want to know is, you guys set the bar so high with the debut self-titled album 2 years ago, and this is a fantastic album too. I'm wondering if you and Richie and Mike, this far into your career with all the pedigrees and the bands you've been in, do you even concern yourselves with the proverbial sophomore jinx that a lot of bands go through, or are you just so confident in your writing ability and that sort of thing?
I'm not sure it's really we're so confident that kind of a scenario, but we just, we played over 100 shows after the first record, so we felt confident with what we had as players together. And we've all done so many records and been in the studio in so many circumstances. We're not really worried about whether or not we can churn something out that we are happy with. And we wanted also to do a record that people would be pleased with. You don't want to pander to the audience and try to do the things they'll like, but you want to try and do something that they're going to gravitate towards, it's going to touch them. I'm a fan too, you know, so I want to make the record that I'd want to hear. So I think we had that in mind a bit. You know, we wanted to make a record that, because the first record I was just so pleased with. It's rare that I make a record and I play it for everybody. You know, because you always have second thoughts. You're not sure. Maybe a year or 2 years or 5 years down the road, you go, I guess it was okay. But the first record, I was playing it for everybody. Everybody's freaking out over it. It was so great. Second record too, it came out and I thought, geez, I like this record. How strange. So we didn't really give it much thought about, you know, worrying about one-upping the first record or being better. We just wanted to do the best record we could. And because of that, I think that organic aspect of it, we did get a very, very pleasing record to us and to people that have supported us and bought it and sing all the songs at the shows.
When I spoke to you after the first album came out, and I had asked you at the time, what can we expect from the second album? And you were saying an evolution of the band.
Yeah.
Now that it's come out, and you've done several shows under your belt in support of this record, what were the major differences, either in the process, one way or the other, recording, writing, mixing it? Was there any major differences from the first one?
Not really. We did everything pretty much the same, even in the same room for a lot of it. We did go to an outside studio to do drums. We ended up doing a lot of stuff at Richie's house. But it's just that live experience. You can't get it any other way. When we first got together, the first record, we had all our individual experience. So working together, we kind of knew how to put it together. But playing together, ensemble, you know, over 100 shows, really just brought the band super tight together. Yeah. And so things become automatic. So when we were writing for the second record, one guy would do a thing, the other guy would do his thing, the third guy would do his thing, and bang, we got a piece of it. What about a chorus? Here it goes. How about this? Great. Okay, let's move on. Next song. And it was really that simple and that easy. You know, in the end, of course, you don't really have songs. You have lyrics and vocals. But we were able to create some great opportunities for lyrics and vocals. You know, you're trying to sing over stuff that's herky-jerky or unusual or you know, doesn't quite work. It's tough. So we try to create music that would be easy for Richie to sing over, or music that it would be effective for him singing over. And it just all came together. I don't know. It's hard to kind of analyze it too, right? Because we really don't think too much. It just kind of happens. We get in a room, and we set up in this room right now. Drums, a little guitar amp, a little bass amp. We could probably come up with, you know, 5 or 6 songs by the end of the evening. Pretty much the basis of the songs. Right. Singing and then doing the final lyrics and stuff like that always takes a little time to get ready. You can't yell out lyrics that work. Maybe somebody can, but I don't know if anyone can. So it's a pretty, it's not a process we do a lot of thinking about.
I was telling your tour manager on the way in that I had Captain Love stuck in my head. But, you know, it's just like several songs. It's one of those albums where you can pick a different favorite each day, depending on how you feel when you wake up and you listen to it. I don't know if you feel that way, but of course Oblivion sticks out. Fire is a great slow track that fits in with some of the mood of what's been going on lately, perhaps. All kinds of, and you made a lot of videos between the two albums.
Yeah.
So does any track in particular stick out to you at this point?
Well, I love playing Ghost Town. I love playing Hot Streak too. The audience sings along a lot on Hot Streak now. In South America, they're early adopters. Right away, they sing the solos. When the record's been out for 2 days, they're singing every lyric and the solos. Pretty amazing. So it's nice to see people sing along to stuff, Hot Streak to How Long, and the other new songs on the record. And then when they hear like Time Machine Began, because that was a favorite from the first record, we do a bunch of new songs and then Time Machine comes in and that crowd kind of, there's a surge of recognition there. It's pretty cool.
So for those of you out there who may not have been born too long ago and aren't as quite familiar with Billy's pedigree as you should be, I mean, the man was in a band called Talus that spent time opening for Van Halen. Of course, he was in David Lee Roth's solo band when Dave left Van Halen, playing bass there with Steve Vai and Greg Bissonette. Of course, Mr. Big, look him up. I mean, there's so much great music that you made, and now the Winery Dogs. We talked about the unfortunate events that happened on Thursday, but for a good reason as it pertains to Billy. Thursday was also another memorable occasion. It was 30 years ago that day that Eat 'Em and Smile came out, David Lee Roth's first solo album, But like I said, with Billy on bass, Steve and Greg. Did you run into Greg recently or cross paths, or when was the last time you spoke to those members of that band?
Oh, well, prior to Thanksgiving last year, we almost played together. We went to the Lucky Strike Jam, which is this jam in LA. Since changed a bit, but the thing of the jam is you go up, no sound check, no pedals, no nothing. Just go up, plug your instrument in and play, get off, the next band gets up and plays. And it's always like bands jam with each other. I've jammed there with Nuno a bunch of times, me and Richie jammed there. Richie got up and played a couple times by himself. I was there one night and I'm hearing, Tom has come today, and I went up, it's the Chambers Brothers, they were up on stage. So you had all kinds of bands too, horn sections, violin players, soul groups, rock bands, alternative bands, all kinds of people. So we were Steve was gonna be in town, so me and Greg said, well, let's see if Steve wants to come out. So should we call Dave? Well, that's right. So we called Dave, and we hadn't heard from him for a couple of days, so we asked Ralph from Steel Panther if he'd come up and sing, So then sure enough, Dave calls. I said, well, geez, he was gonna come. So we met, and the curtain was down. Steve had his guitar in, I had my bass on, Greg was behind the drums. Steve was ready to go, wah, wah, and to start Yankee Rose, and the fire department came crashing in.
Oh, wow.
And they shut it down. So we didn't play. But we got to hang afterwards, which to me was worth it. I mean, I wish we could have played. Yeah, it would have been a riot. It would have been cool. I'm sure we would have pulled it off. No problemo. But just me, Dave, Steve, Greg, and our keyboard player Brett hanging in the back like we did on tour for the Eat and Smile tour. Just hanging, telling stories and goofing around. That was worth it right there. So. Who knows if it'll happen? I don't know. I sure hope so. I'd love to play with Dave, Steve, Greg, and Brett again. And if it happens, fantastic. If it doesn't, well, it still remains some of my greatest memories, my biggest success, and just an amazing time in my life.
Yeah. And I was going to ask, and this was one of my social media questions, reader questions, was the fact that tonight is the final night of the Winery Dogs tour. So I was wondering, in addition to maybe taking a break for a little while, is that something you might concentrate on?
Not up to me. It's not up to me. I'm ready to go. If I would love it, of course. It's not up to me. Who knows? I know Greg plays with Ringo, so his schedule's pretty busy. Steve's booked to the year 3000, I think. He's always booked. So hopefully, if time and willingness is there, that would be a wonderful thing. But who knows?
Right. When we spoke a couple years ago, I was telling you on the phone that I have amassed a collection of VHS tapes of nothing but Headbangers Ball videos, probably at least 25 cassettes, each of them 6 to 8 hours long, nothing but episodes and videos. And the very first video that started off my volume 1 was Going Crazy. Now, so many good songs on Eat 'Em and Smile, Yankee Rose, Going Crazy, Tobacco Road, Ladies Night in Buffalo. Cool. Of course, I love the fact that the Winery Dogs played Shy Boy the last time they were here, which is my personal favorite off that album. And you were telling me, of course, it was well known at the time that the iconic videos for Yankee Rose and Going Crazy had, the Fat Man and the cast of characters that was supposed to morph into a movie, but never did. Can you talk about that?
Well, the first phone call I got from Dave's office was, he's doing a movie, he wants to talk to me about being in it. What? And I was taken back. I didn't get what that meant. Which, in fact, was true. It was also a cover story. He wouldn't want to leak out that he's going to maybe do a band, because he was still in Van Halen. So I kept my mouth shut. Was going out there. I had a first meeting with him. We went outside. We're talking. It was, why don't we find out? Let's start a band. Let's go find a guitar player and we'll start a band. I said, I'm in. Yes. And I was so pleased. Dave was just. The first time I went to see Van Halen, of course, all the musicians went to see Eddie, but your attention kept going over to Dave, because he really. If you got to read Van Halen Rising, have you read it?
No, I haven't.
By Greg Renoff, I couldn't recommend it more highly. It's kind of a showbiz 101, if you will. It's just an amazing story of how these guys, how it happened. It's incredible. And you see what Dave's part in it was. And it's pretty fascinating. And I know when we put Eat 'Em and Smile together, Dave put Eat 'Em and Smile together, we got to witness a guy that was a master at his craft. I mean, he was at the time, he was the biggest rock star in the world too. In 1984, Van Halen had just gone, 10 times platinum, and they were huge. And so when he left the band, it was a gamble for him, but Anyway, original question about the movie. I still got my script. I got the
Wow.
script from it, so. And it's got basically the band goes through all these crazy adventures, and it was the band was written into the movie quite a bit, and so it was. We were very excited. Unfortunately, as in, if you think the music business is tough and crazy, wait to get into the television business, it's twice as tough and 10 times crazier. Way to get in the movie business is 20 times harder and 90 times crazier. Right. So, business-wise, who knows what happened? CBS Pictures was folding and the funding dried up. So, I remember saying to Dave, heck with that, let's just go tour. And there we went.
I love how it doesn't take a whole lot of convincing for Billy to join a band. He's like, I'm in.
Well, in that case, I was in Tallis and I was devoted to that band and loyal to that band, but I always said, there's only one band I'd ever leave Tallis for, and that's Van Halen. And so when Dave called, I said, close enough. I'm gone. So I went out.
And on that album, You Smile, you have a fantastic bass riff on Elephant Gun as well. I didn't want to leave that out. Right. But that also brings up another social media question that I had. John from Austin wanted to know, during that time, 86, when Dave left and formed that band, behind the scenes, was there any discontent between Eddie and Alex towards you possibly for signing with Dave?
I didn't see any. I didn't notice any, you know. And then I saw Eddie not too long after. We did a Jason Becker benefit while he was still had Sammy in the band, and I was out of date. It was maybe early '90s or something, and it was cool. You know, it's sad for me to see any band that I love not get along, you know, or any animosity like that. It's sad to see. So that's my only regret about the whole thing. You know, I'm glad I sided with Dave because Dave, you know, was the guy who brought me out and gave me so much, and I owe him so much. But I love all the Van Halens. I loved Eddie and Alex and Michael and Wolfie too. And I'm the only guy in the world that has ever played with every member of Van Halen. So
that's outstanding. Outstanding. Well, last thing before I wrap it up, you know, a lot of people, general question for interviewees is, you know, name your influences, that sort of thing. In your case, what I would like to know, being such a proficient and outstanding, extraordinary bass player, who are the other bass players maybe that either today or of yesteryear that you look up to? I know you did a Fuse TV segment with Marco Mendoza, and you know, I know you respect his playing, but is there anybody else that you...
Well, there's so many great players now. It's such a wonderful time for musicians because you can go on YouTube and find anybody doing anything, and you can see it. You can see them doing it, so that's an even easier way to figure out how it goes. When I was young, we had to listen and figure out kind of what they were doing. A lot of times we got it wrong. We invented a new way of doing it because we didn't know how they were doing it in the first place. I remember when people first heard Ed Van Halen, I thought it was a keyboard. They said, that couldn't be a guitar, possibly. But I had gotten hammer-ons from Billy Gibbons in '74, so I was doing it also differently. Of course, Eddie is the man who it should rightfully be credited with it. But there were other people around that did it a little bit. Of course, Eddie popularized it. But I listened to a lot of bass players, but I also listened to a lot of other music and instruments. So piano parts, violin, viola, cello, sax players, singers, great singers, flamenco guitar, a lot of music and instruments that aren't necessarily bass. So that's why a lot of people would accuse me of, oh, he's just playing guitar on bass. So I can't play that on guitar. The bass stuff that I do, I can't do it on guitar. I can play guitar, I can do some fake leads, but I can't do that on guitar. So it's just kind of, it's proprietary to the bass and what I do on there. So love it or hate it, it's not guitar, it never was. But I have learned so much from all different kinds of music and musical arrangements. And my second biggest amount of music I have, genre-wise, next to rock, is classical. So there's a lot of stuff like that. But I just never shut anything out. If it was something that appealed to me and it was obviously required some degree of talent or spirit or heart and soul to do it, I wanted to do something like that on bass somehow. You know, so and that's pretty much how it came about. But the early days, of course, the list is the usual suspects: Jack Bruce, John Elso, Stanley and Jocko. Earlier than that, the Yardbirds, Paul Samuel Smith, Paul McCartney, of course, Tim Bogert from the Villa Fudge, long list, and the influences keep on coming. As I'm a big fan of a lot of music, so my iTunes is just about 2 terabytes now. A lot of stuff on there, And it's all with the cover art and the right folder and the titles and
Perfectly
I drive my wife crazy with that stuff. I spend easily 2 hours a day every morning with it on my iTunes cleanup, you know.
Right.
But and I still discover new stuff all the time. That's really cool or something intriguing. I'll listen. Wait a minute, my bass right here. How does that go? And I figure that little thing out. I had no idea.
Right.
And I still practice a real lot, and spend a couple of hours a day, almost every day. And every day I learn some new thing that I never knew before. And that just shows me that I'm still beginning an adventure. I mean, it just never ends. And I'm glad about that. Because there's always more to learn. There's always ways to improve. It doesn't necessarily mean me playing faster or playing more. There's all kinds of ways to improve. And I'm constantly seeking to get better.
And Billy and Mike Portnoy have also been members of, off and on, with Metal Allegiance supergroup, all-star, have been jamming, have recorded material. I know Mike, you're not on it, but Mike has an EP coming out called Fallen Heroes, I believe.
Yeah, right.
August 12th, dedicated to the loss of Lemmy, David Bowie, and Glenn Frey. An EP of music coming out, cover tunes, and a tribute to them. But when you were in Metal Allegiance, it was with guys like Kerry King, Phil Anselmo, Chuck Billy of Testament. You were jamming with these guys on stage. What was that experience like?
Oh, it was great. They're all really nice guys. Phil and I got along good. Kerry and I got along really well. It was wonderful. The Anthrax guys are great. And, you know, I think the fans sometimes get into this thing between musical genres. Right. But the guys in the band, we're all friends. And I love it. And I had to learn some Slayer songs. And it was cool. And a Pantera song. And it's not my thing, necessarily. It's not what I gravitate towards stylistically. But it's important to listen to other stuff. It's important to open up your horizons, and doing that certainly opened mine, and I dug it. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah. It was an experience that was enriching to me, absolutely, and I'm glad to have played a Slayer song.
Awesome. Well, that's outstanding. So much I could talk to with Billy, but we're gonna let him go get ready for the show. Go check out, if you haven't already, Hot Streak by the Winery Dogs. One more update, what's coming next with the band, or anything with Mr. Big in the future?
Well, we do one more show at the Monsters of Rock cruise, but it's been sold out for a long, long time. Then around that cruise, I do a couple shows with Mr. Big, because I think we do play the launch party as Mr. Big. Then I go on the ship with the Winery Dog, so I have to learn 2 whole shows. That's okay. And then soon after that, I might try to do Mr. Big album and tour. Okay. Our drummer is a little physically behind it a little bit, unfortunately, but he can still play. We want him to play. And so it may not be a long, huge, extensive tour, but we're going to go out and play again with Pat and the band. He can't do necessarily the heavy lifting on drums. Maybe by then he can, hopefully. We're pulling for him. If not, Matt Starr, the guy who played with us last time, will join us again. Then right after that, I want to go right into the new Winery Dogs record and get out and play. And we've played all over the world with this band, and there are so many people that have been so kind to us. We're so grateful. We want to do another great record for them. And hopefully we'll get to that next year. Awesome.
Outstanding stuff with the man behind the bass. Billy Sheehan, and Mr. Big, check him out. Eric Martin on vocals. Of course, Paul Gilbert, and as you said, Pat Torpey on drums. Outstanding music that Billy has all over the place. Go look it up. Cannot thank you enough, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time.
All right.